Good morning, everybody. This is Charles with the Exodus Dispatching and Training Platform, the Dispatcher 101 Training for Beginners, and the Dispatcher 101 102 and Freight Broker 101 Training for Beginners. This video is particularly for the owner operators who are interested, especially if you are new owner operators, or if you're an owner operator who has been around but you need some assistance in finding loads for yourself. We have a network of trained dispatchers who are effectively and consistently finding loads and freight for the owner operators who we have up under a dispatcher agreement and profile. What we do, we try to communicate with you, team up with you, help you understand by I'll say this, by dispatchers understanding what the bottom line of the owner operator is. It helps everyone to be on the same page. Communication is key in dispatching with the owner operator. Communication with the owner operator, communication with the broker and or shipper. If we as dispatchers have an understanding of what the owner operator needs to make money, to make a profit, we understand their expenses, we understand the cost of fuel, truck, trailer, fuel, maintenance, insurance, all those expenses. After they're paid, how much is needed to turn a profit, and what is that amount translated into cents per mile. So when we're looking for a load, we want to make sure that that cents per mile number that's given to us when we ask on operator, how much money do you need? What is the least amount or the least cents per mile that you will take, Mr. Owner Operator, truck driver, carrier, before you move a load? The answer you give us as dispatchers will determine how we find those loads for you. So if you give me an answer of $2 a mile, $2.50 a mile for whatever equipment type, being the flatbed, dry van, or the reefer, then hopefully you would have already calculated your expenses out of that equation, and your break-even point, as well as your above or your profit margin. So when you give us that cents per mile rate, that is your number that you know that you will turn a profit after expenses have been paid. So as dispatchers, if we know that and we're educating ourselves, it just makes it better for the relationship as a whole between the dispatcher and the owner operator. So if you need a dispatcher who has that type of understanding what the lanes are, what they're paying, understanding where to send carriers, owner operators, and where carriers can get out of, to keep you from having to deadhead crazy amount of miles. If you want dispatchers who have an education on that and to help you, consider Exodus Dispatching as an opportunity or an option for your dispatching needs. Even if you have a dispatcher, more options the better. If you have more than one set of eyes looking at loads, maybe we'll come across a load that's maybe better or may not be better for you than what your previous dispatcher, or maybe if you're a husband and wife team, maybe your wife can find for you. But if you have different sets of eyes looking on loads, you may come across something that will eventually find for you where you want to go and paying you what you want to be paid. But as for us, if you were to sign up with us, Exodus Dispatching, we require a dispatcher agreement, and we want to have a profile for you on file. So when we receive your information, we can cater our load search for that profile. And ultimately, we want to move away from the load boards. That's the ultimate goal for the relationship between you, the owner operator, and us, the dispatcher. As we grow and build and move on and on from loads upon loads upon loads, of course, we're establishing relationships with brokers. We're setting up dedicated lanes, consistent lanes, and things like that over time. Now, realistically, that's not going to happen overnight. And if a dispatcher tells you that, they are lying to you. But the goal is for us to grow together, to start with the load boards, finding loads, and then finding consistent lanes, and for your equipment type that's paying in those hot markets. So to get set up with Exodus Dispatching, you just simply go to the website here on the screen, www.exodusdispatchingandtraining.com. And right now we're on the home page because it's highlighted green. If you go to carrier services, you will see two sublinks. The first one is the dispatcher agreement. You click that. And you can do this on your phone. You could be sitting doing your reset. You could be sitting at a shipper or a receiver waiting to be loaded and or unloaded. And you can simply fill out this one-page dispatcher agreement where it asks you for a bit of information so that we can use to get you set up with us. Enter your carrier name or your trucking company name, your information like your MCDOT, truck and trailer number, where you based out of, city, state, zip, your email address and phone number. And then we have our terms and conditions. You can add some comments here. And this is an online form. The date of submitting, month, day, and year. And then our consent form, if you check this box, you basically allowing us as the dispatcher. It's kind of a power of attorney concept where you're giving us consent to go over the carrier packets, fill those out, and the rate confirmations, go over that with you and fill them out with your consent so that paperwork and things like that, administrative things, can get processed quicker. As you know, as you're on the road, you may not have time. You could be driving. You may not have time to get that stuff filled out quickly. And I would say about 50% of the brokers and shippers there, they haven't caught up with the 21st century, so to speak, in that their setup packets are not online. Some of them have links to a website. Others, they'll send you a PDF and you have to wait to get to a truck stop, hope that the internet service works, fill that information out, get it back to them, things of that nature. But if you have someone working on your behalf, that can get done quicker. If you're doing it by yourself, you run the risk of losing that load to the next person because the broker is really not going to wait in some cases. They just, whoever gets that load first and books it, it gets booked. They're all about volume and numbers, and sad to say, not about relationships. Continuing on here, we have a button where you can upload the other documents. What other documents are, as dispatchers, it would make sense for us between the dispatcher and the carrier to have those documents that we use and we need consistently, that we're going to fill out all the time with the brokers, namely the W-9, your W-9, a copy of it, a copy of your MC authority letter, and a copy of your certificate of insurance. So by clicking here, you can upload your information into this web portal and then downloads to us, and then you simply just sign it. I'm going to clear this and I'm just showing you that it's an online form. Sign it and then hit submit. That's the dispatcher agreement. The profile, the carrier profile, is what you, as the owner operator, someone with their own authority and DOT, will fill out, telling us how you want to run specifically, so we can cater that load search to your profile. Equipment type, whether it's flatbed, drive-in, or reefer. Your weight limitations, because not all carriers, not all owner operators want to haul at their maximum weight. You want to save on fuel. You have certain expenses that you want to maintain and cover. So if the heavier you are, the more fuel you're going to burn. I know because I used to drive. How much money do you need to move your truck? What is the least cents per mile you are willing to accept for a load or per load? $2, $2.50, whatever that is. And I just advise to be realistic. Consider what the market rates are for that load today, as opposed to putting in. I have some people put in outlandish numbers. I don't even deal with carriers like that, but put in a realistic number that you know that's going on out there, a comparative number, and then we can try to negotiate a little bit above that. But if you're putting in something that we can't even negotiate, that's unrealistic, then you're doing yourself a disservice. Other information: what areas of the country do you try to avoid? Like, some people don't like to go to New York, don't like to go to the tolls, mountains. Some people don't go to Florida because they can't get out, depending on the equipment type. So, and then any special instructions. Is there anything else you would like your dispatcher to know? Maybe you want weekends off. Maybe you want a dispatcher who's competent, who understands how to dispatch, where to take you to areas where you can get out of, and not just going in for a good rate, but then you can't get anything out. So you basically just break even as far as paying for your fuel. You don't turn a profit. So having a dispatcher who understands the demographics of everything, where freight is at certain time, because the hot states for certain types of equipment types and certain types of commodities, that fluctuates like weekly. So it may not be good to send you to the Midwest one week as opposed to the next week. So having a dispatcher and a owner operator who team up and have a relationship and work together to understand that, it makes it better across the board. And then the same thing here, you sign this as well. It's an online form, and then hit submit. And then we at Exodus Dispatching Services, we get the email notification, and then we'll contact you and then start that process, get the ball rolling. So Exodus Dispatching Services, we have a team of dispatchers, sub-dispatchers who are trained and understand how to find loads and how to work that process, how to keep you running. And hopefully you will consider Exodus Dispatching and Training. And I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.